The South China Sea erupts into chaos with a flash of light and an earth-shaking explosion. Chinese missiles slam into the USS Nimitz battle group, tearing through the night sky with deadly precision. The first strike engulfs aircraft on the deck in flames, and the once imposing U.S. fleet seems on the brink of collapse. But just as the battle appears lost, two F-35 Lightning IIs surge into the fray, their engines roaring as they dive toward the heart of the Chinese fleet. In a heartbeat, they release two perfectly timed missiles, cutting through the chaos like a hot knife through butter. A Chinese destroyer vanishes in a fireball, and the tide of battle shifts instantly. What shattered China's unstoppable offensive so quickly? The answer could change everything. Engage now for more in-depth analysis. Hit like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments to fuel the mission for truth beneath the headlines. At 3:22 a.m., the Chinese Navy launches a swift and brutal opening salvo. Several DF-21D hypersonic missiles, traveling at speeds over 5 times the speed of sound, streak toward the heart of the U.S. fleet. The USS Nimitz, flagship of the Navy's carrier strike group, is struck directly, the impact shaking its massive steel frame and sending shockwaves across the deck. Yet, it holds firm. Below deck, sailors rush to respond, with damage control teams springing into action and aircraft maintenance crews racing to keep planes operational. Above, an eerie silence settles as fighter jets roar into the sky, unfazed by the assault. Meanwhile, the Chinese fleet, comprising modern destroyers and attack submarines, converges on the Nimitz's position, aiming to capitalize on their momentum. Their advanced anti-ship missiles, radar jammers, and electronic countermeasures flood the airwaves with disruptions, making their offensive seem unbreakable. The Nimitz is not alone, however. At 3:24 a.m., the roar of two F-35 Lightning IIs shatters the air. These fifth-generation stealth fighters, invisible to enemy radar, dart from the carrier, their afterburners lighting up the darkness. Equipped with advanced avionics and weapon systems, the F-35s launch two Joint Strike missiles designed for pinpoint accuracy. The first missile strikes a Chinese destroyer brimming with anti-aircraft capabilities, sending it into a fiery explosion. The second targets a radar jamming station on another warship, crippling the Chinese fleet's ability to coordinate. As these ships go up in flames, the U.S. Navy gains a crucial upper hand. The sudden loss of key assets throws the Chinese forces into disarray, leaving them vulnerable to a devastating follow-up. At 3:28 a.m., the Chinese respond with a new wave of DF-21D hypersonic missiles aimed at the U.S. fleet. The Nimitz's Aegis combat system instantly locks onto the incoming threats, its radar array scanning the horizon with pinpoint accuracy. Within seconds, Standard Missile-3 interceptors streak into the sky, intercepting the Chinese warheads in mid-flight. A series of thunderous explosions ripples across the sea as the missiles are neutralized. Seizing the advantage, the U.S. Navy launches more F-35s to target Chinese supply vessels and submarines, attempting to move into firing position. As the sun begins to rise over the South China Sea, the Chinese fleet, broken, divided, and disoriented, retreats. The Nimitz stands tall, its defense systems having repelled the bulk of the attack, and the U.S. Navy's superior firepower decisively turns the tide. The situation is far from over. At 3:45 a.m., Chinese reinforcements, including advanced stealth warships and additional submarines, enter the fray to regroup and launch a fresh assault. The Nimitz's radar, paired with the Aegis system, continues to scan for threats. On the bridge, commanders issue swift orders as the air hums with jet engines. F-35s, now accompanied by EA-18G Growlers, electronic warfare aircraft designed to disrupt enemy radar and communications, scramble again. At 4:20 a.m., an F-35 squadron locates a Chinese Type 093 nuclear attack submarine attempting to ambush the Nimitz. A nearby destroyer launches a barrage of depth charges, while the F-35s patrol the sky, ensuring air superiority. At 4:30 a.m., Chinese reinforcements launch a surprise cyber attack targeting U.S. Navy communication systems. Lights flicker on the Nimitz, and chaos erupts in the command center as hackers scramble data, locking down satellite communications and cutting off vital coordination with Pacific Command. Amid this digital assault, the Chinese launch a salvo of ballistic missiles. The F-35s, already airborne, race to intercept, while the Nimitz's Aegis system tracks the missiles despite the communication blackout. At 4:35 a.m., the crew, relying on advanced training, operates on manual protocols. The F-35s neutralize the missiles in a synchronized strike, and cheers erupt across the carrier, proving that training, strategy, and adaptability remain the Navy's greatest assets. Just as the cyber attack stalls U.S. momentum, China unveils a hidden weapon at 4:50 a.m. Electromagnetic railguns capable of launching projectiles at near-light speeds, knocking out U.S. radar stations. This game-changer is short-lived, as an F-35 destroys the railgun platform with a well-placed missile. By 5 a.m., the Chinese fleet, battered and disorganized, retreats, their air superiority and radar systems inoperable. The South China Sea is no longer a battleground but a testament to unmatched American military power. Yet, Beijing watches closely, knowing this battle is just one piece of a larger geopolitical chess game. At 5:15 a.m., the Chinese Navy, reeling but not defeated, shifts to a desperate strategy. A larger wave of warships appears, accompanied by H-6K stealth bombers carrying anti-ship cruise missiles and long-range guided bombs. The stakes escalate. At 5:30 a.m., the Nimitz's crew, using early warning radar and satellite intelligence, detects the bombers. The full might of U.S. naval aviation mobilizes, with F/A-18 Hornets and Super Hornets launching off the carrier, armed with advanced anti-aircraft and anti-ship missiles. Knowing the bombers' tight formation makes them vulnerable, the U.S. launches a preemptive strike at 5:35 a.m. F/A-18s, armed with AGM-88 HARM anti-radiation missiles, disable Chinese radar installations, blinding the bombers. At 5:40 a.m., F-35s engage the now exposed H-6Ks, tearing them apart in a choreographed destruction. U.S. naval forces intensify pressure on the remaining Chinese warships. The Nimitz, supported by destroyers and submarines, launches a brutal assault, with Aegis systems intercepting incoming missiles with unyielding precision. In a final act of desperation, the Chinese deploy over 100 suicide drones at 5:50 a.m., swarming toward the Nimitz. The Navy's cutting-edge anti-drone systems activate, and the skies erupt as dozens of drones are shot down in a flurry of fire and smoke. By 6:00 a.m., the Chinese fleet retreats in tatters, their aircraft decimated and morale shattered. The South China Sea is under U.S. control, but the question lingers: what does this mean for global power? At 6:15 a.m., as the battle seems won, a faint signal on the Nimitz's radar reveals a massive cyber attack from an unknown source, hacking navigation and communication systems. The fleet is temporarily isolated, coordination a nightmare. At 6:20 a.m., satellite surveillance detects a convoy of warships from a neutral nation entering the South China Sea at breakneck speed. Their allegiance unclear. Have they come to exploit the chaos or tip the geopolitical balance? The U.S. Navy's victory is now uncertain. Despite holding air and naval dominance, the cyber attack exposes vulnerabilities. China, though defeated, remains formidable and likely to regroup. The South China Sea, a crucial trade route, underscores the U.S. commitment to regional stability. But modern warfare's unpredictability and the unknown force highlight the fragility of victory. Nations will reassess alliances, and the balance of power has shifted. but the U.S. military remains steadfast in its role as a guarantor of global order. The war for dominance is far from over.